an update with the Charlie Kirk shooting deal. And when we talk about the next episode, we are no longer talking about who did this, who did that. We got to talk about new characters now. We got new characters involved. And people need to see this because I never heard of this guy, this Mikey McCoy guy. And then also, I am going to explain to you what they are trying to do to Tyler Robinson's trial. So right now, they have announced, the judge has announced that they do not want cameras in the courtroom during Tyler Robinson's trial. Why not? Let's get into it. It was announced, of course, on Fox News. Pay attention to what they choose to focus on, by the way.
In Utah this afternoon, a judge will hear arguments on whether Tyler Robinson can wear plain clothes during proceedings. Robinson's defense team is also seeking to limit media coverage of the trial, including a ban on cameras in the courtroom. Donna Rotano is a criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor. My first thought is how difficult this is going to be for Charlie Kirk's family, for his wife, his parents, to go through this trial. But to have the defense seeking to allow him to present in plain clothes, what is the case they're making for him for that?
Sure. Good afternoon, Sandra. How are you? So here's the issue when it comes to clothing. Obviously, the main purpose here for the defense is to try to get a fair and impartial jury. And if potential jurors watching news coverage of this on a regular basis are seeing Mr. Robinson brought out in prison clothes or jail clothes, then obviously they're looking at him as someone who is in custody. The goal is that the jury doesn't make a determination about custody until obviously after a trial is done and someone is sentenced. So the purpose is to make him look like a regular citizen so he can be judged fairly and impartially based on the evidence alone. And although it seems like a small detail, you don't want him to look like someone who has already been convicted prior to having that happen. So it's really...
So notice what they chose to focus on. They chose to focus on, oh, well, the defense wants Tyler Robinson to wear plain clothes. They chose to focus on that instead of the fact that the judge doesn't want you to have cameras in that courtroom. Why not? What is it that they don't want you to see? They're already trying to limit this case to the press. I'm telling you right now, they're already trying to limit the trial to the press, which means you don't know what you're going to get coming out of this trial, which means that I would not be surprised if they select very few people to come in and to cover that trial. What are they trying to hide? I told you guys from the get-go, I never believed this is the guy. I never saw a gun in his hand. And even if he managed to disassemble the weapon and put it in his book bag and then unassemble it again in the woods, that didn't make any damn sense. Then I found out that you can't even disassemble that type of weapon that way. This thing has been fishy to me from the very get-go. But something else I wanted to dive into a little bit as well. Why is the FBI covering this case? Like, why was the FBI involved? And so I decided to look this up a little bit, right? What determines whether or not the FBI will be involved in a case? So let me show you what I found. Peep this, fam. We're going to do the Cliff Notes version because it is what it is. Okay? Check this out. Federal jurisdiction and circumstances. The FBI has the authority to investigate shootings under the following conditions. All right. So I looked up shooting, specifically shooting. If it's a federal crime, if a shooting is a violation of a federal law, the FBI has a primary jurisdiction. Violation of federal law. Was this shooting a violation of federal law? I don't think it was. Crimes crossing state lines. Cases where a shooting crosses state boundaries automatically involve federal jurisdiction. For example, if a kidnapping is in one state, leads to a murder, and the body is dumped in another. Did Tyler Robinson cross state lines? Wasn't Tyler right there in Utah? No? Yeah? No? I don't think that one would apply. We're brainstorming here together, guys. This is class. we are brainstorming. Shootings on federal land. If a shooting occurs on federal property, such as a national park, military base, or a federal building, they have the authority to investigate. Well, it wasn't on federal land. It was at a university. Here's another one. Victims who are federal officials. The killing of a federal officer, elected official, or a diplomat automatically triggers FBI. So Charlie Kirk wasn't an elected official, wasn't a federal officer. So, I mean, I'm grasping at straws here, guys. I'm just trying to come up with the reason as to why the FBI is involved in this case. Civil rights violations. A shooting that constitutes a hate crime or violates a person's constitutional rights can become a federal case, bringing in the FBI. Was there? Hold on to that one for a second. Hold on. We'll come back. Shooting on tribal lands. The FBI has special jurisdiction to investigate murders on Native American reservations. Come back to this one. A shooting that constitutes a hate crime or violates a person's constitutional rights. So when they said, now you guys got to let me know how you feel about this one, right? Do you believe that the whole story that they came up with about Tyler Robinson, being trans or dating trans person or whatever, remember they came out with that theory before the suspect was even caught. Kash Patel and them on X came out with that theory before they even caught Tyler Robinson. And I would say caught, before he was turned in, because from what I understand, his parents told on him, right? So it's almost as if they painted that narrative of it being a hate crime so that they could get involved. Now we're going to move on to something else. These are things I just want people to think about because, like I told you, this doesn't make any sense to me. We're moving on to the next episode. We've talked about possibility of Israel involvement. We've talked about the possibility of deep state involvement, including CIA, etc. But now we're starting to see there's one guy in particular who did something really strange. This guy is Mikey McCoy, staff member of Charlie's team, did something really weird. And I didn't notice this before, but thanks to James Lee, I noticed it now. We need to pay attention as to how this guy, Mikey McCoy, behaved when this shooting happened. It does not seem normal.
This is footage compiled by Sam Parker. You can see Mikey identified there on the left or standing next to the left of the tent. Charlie.
Pause here. That's him back there. You guys saw back there. We will pause and have to come out now and there because I'm not going to show that actual shooting on here. But Mikey is still at the corner of the tent, right all the way over here where my little cursor is. Okay. All right.
Kirk has just a few seconds left here on this earth, and you can see.
We're going to pause here. And here's Mikey still over here. Okay. Let's come out.
Here, as soon as Charlie is hit.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let's come out. I just don't want to show that on here. Okay. We can come back at this part here. All right. So after he was struck, Mikey McCoy, who was over here, is walking away.
Calling someone. Very odd. He doesn't duck down like everybody else. He doesn't run to Charlie's aid. He literally picks up the phone and turns around and starts walking. Back to the footage one more time.
Again, Charlie killed. Mikey immediately turns and walks away behind the tent. So again, we're back over here towards the corner where that camera is. Okay. And then we'll pop out for just a second. I'll let that play. And then we'll come back in here. And I'm not going to show that on here, you guys, but right over here. So he walks away. Watch, wait for it.
Mikey, one movement, picks up the phone and starts walking. You'll see him disappear.
Right there. There he is right there. Notice how everybody else rushed over to where Charlie Kirk was. The other staff members, they either rushed over to help him or people just ducked down and they ran. Like your natural reaction is going to be, you know what I mean? Now, there could be shock involved. I don't know. But continue watching this.
Appear from view to the back of the tent, and he will reappear in just a few seconds. And there he is again.
That's him right there on the phone.
You can clearly see that he appears to be on the phone with somebody. That is just odd behavior. I'm sorry. It's very, very weird. You know, it's not criminal behavior, but it is very, very weird. You know, he's just so calm.
This is a quick jam-packed little video. In this shot here, Charlie is still on the ground with people around him. And I'm just going to drag through the video to get through to some of the interesting spots. So we've got Mikey McCoy, and he is right here.
Right there, guys. Walking. Like he ain't running, he walking. Now, let me pull out for a second, guys. Let's think about this. Pull out. Let me come out of that for a second. Let me explain. Okay, so somebody just got shot. Either way, you heard gunshot. Bam. Your natural reaction is going to be to do one or two things, right? Get down, get down. This is what they taught us in like active shooter training, right? Get down, or you're going to take off running. He's walking as if somebody just didn't get shot. And he was that close to him when he got shot. It's not like he was like further back in the crowd. You see the crowd disperses. People take off. Like, let me get the hell up out of here. But he walking. Almost as if he's not afraid that he could get hit. That would take some confidence, right? That would take a lot of confidence. But it's weird. It does not make any sense to me. So we'll go back in.
We take it like, I think that's the best I can do with him. Just 2 or 3 frames there.
Once again, he's just walking away. Here it is, another angle. You can see Charlie below being carried into the SUV, and Mikey is in the distance, looks to be still just on the phone, casually strolling away from the scene of the crime.
And at this point, how do you know that the threat has been handled? How do you know the shooter has been captured? How do you know the shooter isn't right around the corner where you're walking to? This is bizarre behavior. It's almost as if he knew that it was all handled. Now, again, not criminal. He didn't do anything that's against the law. But the behavior is strange as hell.
Is that normal? And maybe the bigger question I'm thinking, and you're probably wondering the same thing too, is who was he calling? Well, I did some digging, and according to the New York Times, it was one Erica Kirk. Quote, Miss Kirk was sitting in her mother's hospital room at 11:23 a.m. local time in Phoenix when she saw the number of her husband's longtime assistant, Michael McCoy, appear on her phone. In retrospect, she said she knew the words, "He's been shot," before Mr. McCoy screamed them. According to official records, Charlie Kirk was shot at 12:23 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 11:23 in Phoenix. So if the New York Times is being 100% accurate, the only person that Mikey could have been on the phone with is Erica. So look, maybe Mikey was just doing his job. He's just Mr. Cool, you know, extreme composure in the face of emergency. Some people have that kind of ability. I don't. Some people do. But the weird part in all this that I can't really let go of is that he witnessed practically nothing, right? He saw Charlie get shot, then he picks up his phone, supposedly calls Erica, immediately turns around, walks away. He didn't even look at Charlie, so he would really have no idea of Charlie's condition unless, of course, he was told by somebody. Maybe somebody was feeding him the information as he was on the phone. I don't know. Or the quiet part out loud is maybe he knew something was going to happen before it did. I'm obviously not going to say that, but that would be potentially the only other explanation. But of course, according to his father, Pastor Rob McCoy, he is the senior pastor of Godspeak Calvary Chapel in Thousand Oaks and the co-chair of TPUSA Faith. He says that if anyone is to ask any more questions or even hint at the possibility that Charlie's death might be bigger than just, one crazed lone gunman, well, then we're all just anti-Semites.
So, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Robert McCoy, I want you to see something that he said. Let's go ahead and bring this in here, where he's caught lying. I just showed you the video of where Mikey McCoy was positioned, right? And how he walked away. Okay. So why is his dad saying this?
I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, chief financial officer, and Mikey's the chief of staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, "Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray." I said, "Okay, son." He has wits about him. He was just directing. He had blood all over him,
No, he didn't. Where is this story coming from? We all just watched the footage. Why is his father saying he had blood all over him? Where is that coming from? As if there isn't real video footage out there that shows that's not the case. Hello? JB says, show us the real McCoy, Sabs. I don't know. Like, let me see how much I can play here, because I just don't want to show. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me show you right here. Look, watch this.
Also, you got to watch right where I've been showing you Mikey is to see exactly what he is doing. He seems to see Charlie get.
Okay. And then we'll just cut from this part because I don't want to show that part. And then, so again, walks away.
Pop up on the other side of the tent in a second. And again, not running like everybody, just walking. This could be shock, but again, you'd think there'd be some kind of panic and he'd be sprinting, but you're just seeing him walk away.
Where's all the blood that he supposedly has on his shirt? That his dad said, where's all that blood at? And then there's something even more weird. And that's this part. Because I told you guys, right? Now, this is Frank Turek. He was also there. Now, according to him, he says that Mikey called Erica from the hospital. So now listen to this, because some people said, well, he was calling Erica right when that happened. Listen to this.
And that's when the great Mikey McCoy showed up. Actually, he was there just before that happened. And 23 years old. He's calling the vice president. He's calling Erica. He's sending a plane to get Erica. He's talking. He's asking the doctor real hard questions. He's shaking a little bit, but he knows what he needs to do. He said, Charlie would want me to do this. And he just took over. I couldn't be more proud of that man.
Does anybody find it odd that the first response wasn't to call 911? Anybody? Because that's my initial call 911. It just, I'm telling you guys, it's all fishy. It's all fishy.
Love that man. 23 years old.
Very impressive guy. We spent some time with him yesterday in the audience, got to see him, meet him on the show. I've been wondering since last Wednesday, how are the guards? Do you know?
This story keeps changing. And then there's something else I want to show you also about Mikey McCoy. Let's make sure we got this lined up here. Yeah. This was shared by Sam Parker. You guys need to see this. When you look at Google Trends, so he was looking at Google Trends, right? And he looked up different names, and you'll see here one of them is Mikey McCoy.
Hey everybody, Sam Parker here. Look, Mikey McCoy has been the subject of a lot of controversy the last couple days. He's been in the news a lot because of his strange reaction at seeing Charlie Kirk being shot, the way he just turns and walks away. And Baron Coleman, the man who has popularized the Google Trends analysis, did a search for Mikey McCoy from the Cayman Islands. Cayman Islands, that tax haven where a lot of people have, bank accounts. And there's a lot of money laundering and money transfers happen from the Cayman Islands.
And a lot of billionaires have those accounts in the Cayman Islands. Why would anyone search for Mikey McCoy's name from the Cayman Islands and wait till you see the date?
And of course, we're not ascribing any guilt to anybody. We're just looking at the data. So I must emphasize that we're not ascribing guilt to anybody. We're not saying anybody did anything nefarious. We don't know. We're just looking at the data. But it is interesting that somebody in the Cayman Islands was searching for Mikey McCoy in August and on September 9th, the day before the assassination. Somebody's searching Mikey McCoy. But I decided to look for more people. And they weren't just looking for Mikey McCoy from the Cayman Islands. Deidre Amaro, the Utah medical examiner, was searched for from the Cayman Islands on July 23rd. George Hodson Zinn, July 9th.
That's the guy who was arrested and they said this was the shooter and he wasn't the shooter. That guy, yeah, the older man, that was George Zinn.
Henry Dell was the first person to ask a question to Charlie Kirk. Okay, that's Henry Dell before Hunter Kozak. And he was searched for on May 31st. Phil Lyman, our friend Phil Lyman, was searched for on June 22nd. But let's keep going. I have more names, so let's just keep going. So these are preliminary results. Like all these, somebody's searching for all these people from the Cayman Islands. It's kind of wild. Let's push on. Let's do Hunter Kozak. Hunter Kozak. Oh my gosh, there's Hunter Kozak. April 22nd. Well, let's see who else is in this group. Let's do Paramount Tactical just for kicks. Gary, he did that interview with Henry Dill, right? So Paramount Tactical. Let's just again, I'm not saying anybody's guilty. Oh my gosh. August 5th, Paramount Tactical.
Ladies and gentlemen, look, the next episode is that people are not letting this go. Like they had Charlie Kirk's memorial and everything, but people are not letting this go, folks. And people have a lot of questions, and rightfully so. Like I said, none of us saw Tyler Robinson with a weapon. They just told you this is the guy, he's guilty, so everybody's just supposed to believe it because they told you to. Weird. But people are not letting this go. We are seeing multiple episodes about this. People are starting to research on their own, and it's like, okay, let's look up some more names and see what else happens. Here's a little bit more.
Cayman Islands. This is crazy. Let's do some controls. Let's just do some controls. Let's look for some names that let's use my name. Let's see if my name shows up. Okay, I'm not there. Let's do Charlie Kirk. If somebody is searching for Mikey McCoy because maybe he's part of TPOSA and they're interested in TPOSA, well then Charlie Kirk, very public, very well known. Let's see if he shows up. No Charlie Kirk.
That's weird. That is really weird. So I want to show you a close up because I know it's hard to see on that video. But if we look at the close up here, he said, who doesn't show up in the Cayman Island searches? Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Sam Parker, Brian Davis. Brian Davis is the indictment detective. Who does show up and the date? Mikey McCoy shows up in August 12th, but also the day before the shooting. We already told you about the Tyler Robinson thing. DeAndre, these are all the people that show up. Philip Lyman, George Zinn, Henry Dell, Erica Kirk, Andrew Colvett, Spencer Cox, and he put the date next to all of these. But the one that stands out the most to me is that Mikey McCoy shows up on the day before the shooting. Now, I believe we have images here to show you so that you can see it close up. It's easier to see it this way. So Mikey McCoy is blue. That's the blue line. So if you look at the blue line here, that's September 9th, 2025. Charlie Kirk was killed on September 10th. That's Mikey McCoy, that August 12th and that September 9th. Here's Tyler Robinson right here, July. So you can see all the different ones here. But notice purple for Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk name don't show up at all. So they weren't searching for his name. Anybody find that a little bit strange? If you're looking up Turning Point USA and you're looking into the staff members, but you don't look up the one person who is basically the head of the organization? Really? This, and go here as well. These are other searches. Berlin Hollyhan, that's the guy who I guess was supposed to be like the new Charlie Kirk or whatever. He searched his name, different spellings just to see, but you can see him show up a little bit here. But this is the kicker, guys. Mikey McCoy, September 9th. Now, does this mean that he was involved? No, we don't have evidence to prove that he was involved. What it does show, though, is something is being covered up here, guys. Now we have the Cayman Islands involved in searches. Really weird. Billionaire tax haven. A lot of billionaires have these offshore accounts there. So there's that. Mikey McCoy's name showing up the day before Charlie Kirk was killed. And then on top of this, ladies and gentlemen, we now get to see in that video what Mikey McCoy's response was. It's really weird to me. All these people around you are either ducking or taking off running because they don't want to get shot, but you are walking as if he's the Terminator or something, as if he can't be touched. Now, it could be shock, could be, don't know. But ideally, even when he made it to the parking lot, he was still walking. He's not running. It's almost as if he had no fear. I just don't. And the FBI is not talking about this. Now, let's fast forward back to what I said earlier. Why is the FBI involved in this case? Didn't cross state lines. Didn't happen on federal land. Native American land, didn't happen on federal property. Why is the FBI involved in this case? Has anybody seen an autopsy report? Anybody? Has anybody heard from Charlie Kirk's parents? Anyone? These are the questions we need to ask. Because you see, people are like, okay, we don't have proof that Israel was involved, etc. But people have not stopped. People are still looking. They've moved on to the next episode, and now they're starting to look at the people that were right around him during the shooting and starting to ask, what were you guys up to? People would not ask these questions if we had a transparent government. If the FBI was transparent from the get-go, which they were not, people wouldn't ask these questions. If the FBI actually had video footage that showed Tyler Robinson with the gun, people would be less likely to ask these questions. But they don't have that. They haven't shown you that. And then we have the text messages from Charlie Kirk in that group chat where he was basically saying that he was done with the pro-Israel movement, walking away from that. So just put everything together, folks. And also, this stuff about Erica Kirk. I told you guys, to me, she ain't really acting like someone that's really grieving. Like, I mean, the way she came out there that fast and said, okay, let me get on the podcast and just talk this and all that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of like, usually people in that situation need at least a week. So something is off here, folks. They're covering something up. And now they don't want cameras in the courtroom. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.